Okay, I'll be honest. I haven't really been on the best good person streak lately. Like, a couple days ago, my uncle's mother's sister-in-law's nephew's stepsister's daughter's best friend's goldfish died, and I was supposed to go to the funeral. Apparently, there was a massive turnout, and they got like 5,000 more attendees than they were expecting. So now everyone on the goldfish's side of the family fucking despises me. But it's okay, because I have a way to make it up to them. Just buy him a cake! Because everybody knows you can't be a bad person if you offer someone a cake. I should go check on it though, because I'm only 63% sure that I put the cake in my fridge, but there was a very real chance there was never a cake to begin with. I did leave myself a note on my fridge door with something about the cake, so I'm just gonna go check on it. Or I could talk about video games for 17 minutes.
There's one game that I recommend everyone should play regardless of your video game experience. It would be Celeste, but if I had to pick another game for whatever reason, then it would have to be Portal. There's just so much that this game does right. It's fun, it's creative, it's smart, it's funny.
I am talking about a video game here.
But before we talk about what makes Portal so good, we gotta talk about what made Portal. Oh, Valve, everyone's favorite game company that barely makes anything anymore. Nah, they can't get to 3, funny joke, let's all point and laugh, 3, 2, 1.
Honestly, you guys need to cut Valve some slack. Counting to 3 is hard, watch. 1? 2? 2 episode 1. 2 episode 2. Alex, did I get it right? Damn it!
Founded in 1996 by Gabe Newell and Mike Harrington, Valve has created some of the most groundbreaking first-person shooters in gaming history, which is why they don't make games anymore. See, the problem Valve faces nowadays is that people expect way too much out of them. Since their previous games have been so insanely popular, people are going to expect a lot out of whatever Valve decides to squirt out next. Especially since people really just want sequels to their old games, and the longer they wait to make a new game, the higher people's expectations are going to be for it, so might as well make nothing. It's harder to let people down by doing nothing.
I should know. I do nothing all the time, and my friends love me.
Hey, can you pick me some milk up at the store?
No.
Dude, my brother broke his spine and is probably gonna die in like 3 minutes. Can you take me to a hospital?
I'm good. Hello?
Hey, I think your house might be on fire.
I'm busy.
You're a horrible person. You know that, right?
Ooh, speaking of which, remind me to buy you a cake later.
Anyways, in 2005, a few students at DigiPen Institute of Technology were pissing around and made a game called Narbacular Drop. What the hell does that mean? Oh, well, that's not super helpful. Whatever, it was a pretty unique game that used placeable portals to solve puzzles. You can actually go download the game for free on the school's website. I did, and then proceeded to play for only about 10 minutes and stopped because I got motion sick. Anyways, eventually a bunch of dudes from Valve, including Gabe Newell himself, went to DigiPen to check out some things for the school's career day. And Gabe was so impressed with Narbacular Drop that he hired the entire team and had them rework the mechanics of it into the game we know as Portal.
It goes to show how creative a concept this was. The fact that the entire team was hired and they went on immediately to make one of the most beloved games ever is kinda insane. So let's jump in and see why people love it so much.
The general concept of Portal is simple enough. You have a gun that can shoot a blue portal and an orange portal onto any of these white walls. These two portals are linked up, and walking through one will instantly transport you to wherever the other one is. And that's just the basic concept. What makes Portal so interesting is how it has you use these portals to solve puzzles. For example, one fun mechanic is that any momentum you bring into one portal is carried over when you come out the other one, which means you can fling yourself around the test chambers like a deflating balloon. And of course, there are some other things thrown in to keep things interesting. Boxes, energy balls, timers, turrets, normal stuff like that. And one of the best parts about Portal is that it makes you, the player, feel smart. When you solve a particularly challenging puzzle, it's a really satisfying feeling. It's just that aha moment when everything clicks and you understand the game a little bit more.
And everything is introduced gradually so you're not overwhelmed. They start by showing you just how the portals work, then you get control of the blue portal, then they throw some new obstacles in the mix, then you get control of the orange portal, then they throw even more new obstacles in the mix, and then they just leave solving the puzzles up to you. It's a perfect learning progression, and you can feel yourself getting smarter as you play.
Portal is just one of those games that gets better the more times you play it. Which is saying something because your first time playing the game is already going to be fantastic. It's just that when you replay the game, you already know how it works, and now you can try speedrunning, or explore and find new things you didn't find your first time playing, or try to solve the puzzles in a new way. It's just really fun to revisit from time to time. Now, the only potential point against Portal is that it's short, like only a couple hours long. However, I'd say the length doesn't matter because A, it makes it easier for new players to pick it up and finish it without having to worry about coming back to it. B, makes the game more replayable since you could just sit down and beat the game every once in a while. And C, the length doesn't actually matter because the game is just really fun.
Okay, so now all of this makes Portal sound great and a load of fun. That's really all it does. It just sounds like an excellent puzzle game and nothing really past that. Nothing that really sticks with you or is all that memorable. That's where the story comes in. Wait, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, like I said, this is the one game I recommend everyone should play at some point in their lives, other than Celeste. But in order for the game to have the biggest impact, you have to go into it blind. Or as blind as possible. Just go into it knowing as little as you can about it. So if you haven't played Portal yet, get out of here, go play it, and then come back. Please, you'll thank me later. Okay, so the story of Portal is really what ties the whole package together. It's why a lot of people really like the game. It's this really weird blend of super charming and kinda dark and sinister. See, when you wake up, you're greeted by GLaDOS explaining how you're about to take part in a test for the Aperture Science Computer-Aided Enrichment Center. Sounds fun, right?
Well, as long as it's not a pen and paper test. I don't know how to read, so I would not do well on one of those.
The portal will open in 3, 2, 1.
Damn it!
Anyways, nothing seems out of the ordinary. It's sure GLaDOS has a stroke. But outside of that, there's no reason to really suspect anything. But as you progress through the test chambers, things start to feel off. The more GLaDOS talks, the more it seems like there's something she's not telling you. The fact that you haven't seen a single human person, the fact that there are very much lethal obstacles in some of these test chambers, like the poisonous water or the aforementioned turrets. And another thing is, most of these tests are done in silence. There's usually no background music, and if there is, it's sort of just ambience. It all builds on the idea that something isn't right. You don't know what it is, but something is out of place here. But again, you don't really have a reason not to trust GLaDOS. I mean, she hasn't really done anything outright to make herself seem untrustworthy. I'm sure she might, quote, enhance the truth a couple times, but it sort of just comes off as part of the test. But she promises cake when the testing is over. Hell yes! There's no way she could be evil. She's promising cake. And yet, the fact that she's just a robotic voice still adds to that uneasy feeling. It's not a human voice guiding you through the tests and encouraging you. It's an emotionless AI telling you everything that can happen to you during the tests. GLaDOS goes out of her way to mention everything that can hurt or kill you in each test chamber and then just hangs up. It leaves you with the idea that I could die in this room and nobody would care. That uneasy feeling builds as you continue to progress through the game. It's never overwhelming, it's never in your face. It's just the subtle things that leave that little nagging in the back of your head saying, something isn't right. Which brings us to the rat dens.
What? Shit! No! Shit! Where? Shit!
Throughout the test chambers, you'll find these little openings in the walls, revealing what lies outside the test chambers. And it's completely different. The walls are metal and rusty, there's exposed machinery, and it looks like someone was living here. Someone who does not look to be mentally stable. Tally marks, scribbles, and the phrase, "the cake is a lie," written over and over again. If you didn't think something was wrong before, you probably do now. The complete 180 of everything you've seen until now is enough to get you to question everything. It leaves you wondering what the hell is going on here.
And aside from discovering the rat dens, there are, at least in my opinion, 2 moments that leave the biggest impact before the end of the game. 2 moments that stick with you long after you beat the game. 2 moments that demonstrate why people love this game so damn much.
First is this guy. Companion Cube is introduced in Chamber 17, which is pretty late into the game. So at this point, you still haven't seen anyone, heard anything other than GLaDOS, and the feeling of something being wrong is nagging pretty hard. And then you're given Companion Cube. And you decide you're best friends with it now. Now, smart brain science people have done studies about loneliness and perceiving inanimate objects as alive, so there's actually a scientific explanation for why some people would fall in love with Companion Cube. I mean, it's got a little heart on it, and it helps you progress through the chamber. That, and GLaDOS keeps talking about how the Companion Cube is in fact not alive, so many people may think it's actually reverse psychology and Companion Cube is alive. So you go through the entirety of Chamber 17, getting more and more attached to this silly little cube with a pink heart on it, until you reach the end. And you have to murder it. GLaDOS won't let you leave the test chamber until you drop your Companion Cube into the incinerator. So now if you actually did get attached to your Companion Cube, you have to kill the one form of friendship you've had throughout the entire game. You've been so starved of human interaction, you felt completely alone, you felt like everything up until this point was against you. And now you have to kill the one thing you thought you could trust.
This moment completely changes the mood of the entire game. Now instead of being curious and somewhat cautious, you're angry and sad, and that feeling of something being wrong you've had for the whole game has been completely justified. The suspicious lack of other humans, GLaDOS not being entirely truthful, the lethal testing environments, discovering the rat dens, and now incinerating your Companion Cube, it's no longer a question of, is something wrong here? It's a definitive statement. Something is wrong here. So it's time to get to the end of the test and get incinerated yourself. What?!
At the end of the final test chamber, GLaDOS decides that the best idea is to just straight up murder you in a pit of fire. No, but don't worry guys, all the test equipment will survive at temperatures of up to 4,000 degrees Kelvin. That's so great, it made going through this whole thing worth it! This can't be the end, that's such an unsatisfying conclusion. I thought this game was supposed to be good! Wait a second. Remember that thing I said about this game making you feel like one of the smartest beings to walk the earth? This is it. This is why. The first time I played this game, I legitimately thought I broke it when I did this. I felt like I was doing something I wasn't supposed to. I thought I just ruined the game. I mean, with hindsight, it seems so obvious, but honestly, I'm kind of impressed with myself that I actually thought to do this. It was just a panicked what-if thought that randomly popped into my head, and the next thing I knew, I was escaping a fiery demise. I will never, ever forget this moment. It really is the final test. How well did you really understand the game's mechanics, and are you just going to sit there and accept your fate? And suddenly you put 2 and 2 together and BAM! You're going to need a bigger forehead because of how ginormous your brain is after pulling that. And my favorite part about this moment is that it feels unintentional. It feels like you're exploiting the game's mechanics. You're stepping out of bounds and making your own game. It's a huge confidence boost, and you carry that confidence through to the end of the game. Because this really is the catalyst. After this, you've escaped the safety of the test chambers. What happens next is truly unexpected, exploring the grungy, dilapidated, and unkept world of Aperture Science outside the test chambers. You have no idea what's going to be around each corner. You could be dropped into a giant empty room, except surprise, it's a turret ambush, fuck you!
But because of how the escape was set up, because the game makes you feel smart, because the game makes you feel like you've broken the rules of the game, you're now ready for whatever challenges it decides to throw at you next. It's such a smart design decision, and it was built up to by everything prior to it. And by letting you escape the fake ending of the game, you're now ready for the real ending of the game. Speaking of which, it's about time we talked about that, so let's just fast forward to it.
The final test. The culmination of every skill you've learned up until this point. The climax of the story. The pinnacle of everything that has happened. Okay, it's fine. Whatever. Nobody cares. Let's just talk about our main villain, GLaDOS.
She can't be the villain. She promised there'd be cake.
So Rogue AI as the main antagonist of a story is nothing new. It was done many times before this game and will be done for many years to come. But what sets GLaDOS apart is how her personality continues to deteriorate as you progress through the boss fight. You damage GLaDOS by incinerating the different cores that make up her personality. If you wanted revenge for her forcing you to murder Companion Cube, here you go. So you start by destroying her morality. This just sort of falls off of her, and incinerating is what starts the actual boss fight. The fact that it sort of just falls off probably means that it was loose on GLaDOS, which probably means that it wasn't functioning 100% properly, which is probably why she was fine lying to you and sticking you with death traps and all that. But also why she didn't just kill you to begin with. And when you do destroy it, her voice goes from stiff and robotic, you know how you expect her to sound, to more smooth and natural. Almost as if her morality core prevented her from even feeling emotions, and destroying it reveals what she's really like. Which, if you couldn't tell by the immediate flooding of the room with a deadly neurotoxin, is a murderous psychopath. And next you destroy your curiosity core, and she says it herself,
I let you survive this long because I was curious about your behavior.
But after you destroy this, she becomes even more hostile and aggressive. I mean, all she has left is intelligence and pure unbridled rage. So she doesn't really have anything left to do other than throw some intelligent, however still nasty remarks at you. So let's destroy her intelligence. And now she's just an ass. Without anything other than just pure aggression, all that's left is just to throw every mean thing she can think of at you. One of my favorite things she does is...
Here, I'll put you on. That's you, that's how dumb you sound.
It's just so aggressively bitchy and nothing more. It's interesting to watch GLaDOS become more primitive and raw the more and more of her you destroy. She's probably one of my favorite video game villains because of how complex of a character she is, and yet how easy it is to get the kind of character she is. And another part of that is probably thanks to the voice acting. Ellen McLean just fucking nailed it. GLaDOS' voice is absolutely perfect. It's so iconic and fits her character insanely well.
And that is Portal. One of the best games I have ever had the pleasure of playing. And I still maintain that everyone else on the planet should play it too. It's such a smartly designed game to make you feel smart. And the way it plays with your expectations and builds suspense is enough to grab you and essentially force you to play it through to the end. And it's such a simple premise with seemingly infinite amount of things you could do with it. So much so that they should definitely make a sequel. Huh. Well, that's not surprising at all. Yeah, but that's another story for another day. Right now, I gotta go check on that cake I bought. I have been sidetracked for way too long. Alright. Let's see what we got. Wait. No. Where the hell did my cake go? I fucking knew it!